transition to the NFC Championship Game. It's the 49ers. It's the Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 2.5 points. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff on Fox at Lincoln Financial Field. The over-under for this game is 46.5 points. Brock Purdy versus Jalen Hurts. Kyle Shanahan versus Nick Sirianni. The two best teams in the NFC. And this game is different than the AFC Championship because unlike the AFC Championship game, I believe from top to bottom, these two football teams in the 49ers and the Eagles, they have two of the best teams in the NFL. I think when you look at the rosters remaining of the four teams, I think you can go 1A and 1B with the 49ers and the Eagles. And then the Bengals, I would put third. And then I would put the Chiefs at fourth. I think these are two of the most complete teams that we have in the NFL. I really, really do. And I believe that this is going to be a game that's going to be won in the trenches. Because I believe that the Eagles O-line and defensive line and the Niners O-line and defensive line are two of the best in the NFL. I really, really believe that. And you look at the Philadelphia Eagles. That's where we're going to start out tonight with the Eagles. What the Eagles were able to do last week against the Giants, I said it on Tuesday night show, they should be arrested for assault. I mean, they completely dominated that Giants defensive line. Last week, the Eagles, they had 268 rushing yards, and that was the second most rush yards in Eagles playoff history. They had 274 rushing yards against the Rams back in 1949. They had 268 last Saturday night against that Giants defense. And for the Eagles, overall, the Eagles have one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. They average 148 total rushing yards per game. That's ranked 5th in the NFL. And with their rushing attack, they have Jalen Hurts. And we know Jalen Hurts is a dynamic playmaker at the quarterback position. This year, Jalen Hurts running the football, 165 carries, 760 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns during the season. Now, you got to remember that Jalen Hurts played in 15 of the 18 games, so he missed 3 games. But Miles Sanders, Gainwell, Scott, this running backs that the Eagles have, they're dynamic. And they help this rushing attack be high-powered, and that's why the Philadelphia Eagles have one of the best offenses in the NFL. Miles Sanders, Gainwell, Scott, Hurts, they all can run the football in this Nick Sirianni offense, and this is why the Eagles have one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. But the Eagles also have a dynamic passing attack with Devontae Smith, with A.J. Brown. So for the season, A.J. Brown had 88 receptions, 1,496 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. He's the number one receiver on this team, but Devontae Smith is also a big-time receiver for this Philadelphia Eagles offense. 95 receptions, 136 targets this year, 1,196 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. We know how great Devontae Smith was in college at Alabama. He was the best receiver his last year in college football. And at tight end, they got Dallas Goedert. And Goddard is a solid tight end as well. So the one thing about this Eagles offense they are very, very dynamic because they play complementary football. They play complementary football because they don't, if you shut down their running game, they can throw the football because they have elite weapons on the outside in Smith and in A.J. Brown. And at their tight end spot, Goddard can catch the ball as well in the passing game and can definitely be effective. So this Eagles offense is very, very dynamic. But last week, I thought the way that they were able to dominate that Giants defensive line is something that I believe we have to give them recognition for, because at this time of year, as great as your skill players are in Brown, in Smith, you got to have a great offensive line. And the Eagles have that. Up front, you got Jason Kelsey, the brother of Travis Kelsey. You got Isaiah Samala. You got Lane Johnson at right tackle. You got Jordan Mailata at left tackle, left guard, Landon Dickerson. I believe that they have one of the best offensive line units in the NFL. But as great as that Eagles rushing attack is, they're going up against a defense in the San Francisco 49ers who are led by defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans. And shout out to defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans for the 49ers, because there was reports earlier today how he is being looked at for the head coaching vacancy in Denver with the Broncos. So I'm happy for DeMeco Ryans. But he's a hell of a defensive coordinator, and this 49ers defense has been the best defense in the NFL all season long. Defensively, the 49ers, they only give up 78 rushing yards per game. That's ranked second in the NFL. And you look at how great they are defensively up front. You got Nick Bosa. You got Arik Armstead. You got Javon Kinlaw. So this is one of the best defensive lines that we have in the NFL. I'm excited for this matchup because we get a chance to see the Eagles' explosive offensive line versus the 49ers' explosive defensive line. This is the best matchup in this game that I'm looking forward to seeing who wins that particular matchup the most. Because I believe if the Eagles win at the line of scrimmage and they can establish the running game, I think that's going to open up the passing game as well for Jalen Hurts to get the football down the field to A.J. Brown and to Devontae Smith. But when it comes to the matchup with the 49ers secondary versus the Eagles receiving core, that's going to be interesting as well, because the 49ers, they have in their secondary, they got Tre'Davious Ward. Tre'Davious Ward struggled on Wild Card Weekend against DK Metcalf. If Ward is matched up with A.J. Brown, I think that's a matchup that the Eagles can expose the 49ers. Because I believe that A.J. Brown, he's a similar receiver to DK Metcalf. And Metcalf had over 100 yards against Tre'Davious Ward in the wild card matchup in the opening round of playoffs. So that's going to be key. Tre'Davious Ward versus A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown would win that matchup. And as great as the 49ers are against the pass, against the run, they struggle against the pass. Defensively, the 49ers, they give up 223 passing yards per game. That's ranked 20th in the NFL. So you can throw the football against this 49ers defense. The Cowboys last week, they could have made some plays in the passing game against the 49ers defense, but Dak Prescott can't protect the football. That was the biggest problem for the Cowboys. Prescott cannot protect the football. Unlike Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, he will protect the football. And he's not going to give the 49ers opportunities at interceptions because he protects the football at a high level overall. For the season, Jalen Hurts, he was an MVP candidate before his injury 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,701 passing yards. I thought he was on his way to possibly being able to win NFL MVP before his injury against the Bears. But this ain't Dak Prescott. This is Jalen Hurts that the 49ers defense is going up against. And he is dynamic. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing in this game. So let's switch gears to the 49ers offense versus the Eagles defense. Offensively, the 49ers, they're led by Brock Purdy. And honestly, since Brock Purdy has taken over for Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy has been very good. And he hasn't had that moment where he's folded yet. It has not happened yet. And he's been good overall. You look at what Brock Purdy has been able to do. This was 5 games in the regular season that he played. He had 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,374 passing yards. He completed 67% of his passes. So it's crazy because coming into the season, the talks were about who are the 49ers going to start? Is it going to be Trey Lance? Is it going to be Jimmy Garoppolo? Trey Lance goes down in week 2. Jimmy Garoppolo takes over, and he's playing well for the 49ers, and then he gets injured. And they insert Brock Purdy, and honestly, Brock Purdy has been the best quarterback of the 3. Seriously. Like, he hasn't gotten rattled one time since he's been a starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. We thought that he was going to be the weak link, and we know how dynamic their defense is. We know how great their skill position players are with Deebo Samuel, with Brandon Ayuk, with George Kittle, and they added Christian McCaffrey midseason. We know how great they are with their skill position players. And the biggest question for the 49ers was, how effective is Brock Purdy going to be running this 49ers offense, and is he going to get rattled at some point? It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. But the reason why Brock Purdy has been effective as he has been is because he does have the luxury of handing the football off to Christian McCaffrey. This is Christian McCaffrey during the 49ers 12-game win streak. Christian McCaffrey is averaging 112 scrimmage yards per game. That is 29% of the team's yards as an offense. He has 12 total scrimmage touchdowns so far during that 12-game winning streak for the 49ers. So I believe that midseason acquisition by head coach Kyle Shanahan and general manager John Lynch of the 49ers, I believe that was the biggest midseason acquisition in the NFL. And last year, what did the Rams do midseason? They went out and got Odell Beckham, they got Von Miller, and that helped them get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. And we know how dynamic their receivers are in Ayuk and in Deebo Samuel. But they got their work cut out for them this week because defensively, the Eagles got one of the best defenses in the NFL. And they can get after the opposing team's quarterback. The 2022 Philadelphia Eagles, in 18 games, they got 75 total sacks. They had 5 sacks against Daniel Jones and the Giants last week. So this defense by the Philadelphia Eagles, up front, they got Fletcher Cox. They got Brandon Graham. They got Javon Hargrove. They got Josh Sweat. And then their linebackers at the second level are good as well. TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, Hazan Reddick. They're great at the linebacker spots. In the secondary, they got CJ Gardner-Johnson. They got big play Darius Slay. They got Reed Blankenship. So everywhere you look on this Eagles defense, they have no weaknesses. They have no weaknesses overall as a defense. None whatsoever. So they only give up, they're ranked sixth in opponents' points per game and what they give up overall per game. And I think it's going to be important for Brock Purdy to stay calm and poised in this game. If the Eagles get out to a 14-0 lead, we're going to get a chance to see who the real Brock Purdy is. Because he won't have the luxury of playing with the lead. And he's going to be on the road in a hostile environment at Lincoln Financial Field. I'm pretty sure Gilly going to be in the house. Meek Mill is going to be in the house. Kevin Hart may be in the house. Maybe even Will Smith. Who knows? I remember a few years ago when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl and the conference championship that year, they blew the doors off the Minnesota Vikings in that game. Just completely blew them off the field. So if Deebo Samuel was talking about this week, how that Eagles crowd isn't as loud as that 49ers crowd is in Levi Stadium, I disagree. Those Eagle fans, they're going to be ready come Sunday afternoon when it's game time. They're ready to punch their ticket to another Super Bowl and possibly win their second Super Bowl in franchise history. But I believe that these two teams are evenly matched. I was listening on First Take to Chris Canty, and him and Marcus Spears, they said that the Eagles are the much better football team than the 49ers are. I completely disagree. Completely disagree. I think, honestly, when you look at, let's talk about the receivers real quick. You look at the receivers for the 49ers. They got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. I think they are equivalent to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I really believe they're even. I believe you give the 49ers the edge when it comes to the tight end. I think Kittle is better than Goddard. I also believe that the 49ers have the best running back on the field in Christian McCaffrey. I like McCaffrey more than Scott and Sanders. I believe that the Eagles have the edge when it comes to quarterback. I believe that the 49ers have the edge when it comes to the head coaches. I like Kyle Shanahan. He's more proven than Nick Sirianni is overall. And when it comes to the defenses, I think, honestly, I would give the slight, very, very slight edge to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I believe that these two teams are evenly matched. I believe that the defenses are very, very close to being equivalent. And I believe that, they both have weapons offensively who they can rely on. But in these type of games, I think the quarterback can be the difference maker. And I believe that Jalen Hurts is better than Brock Purdy is. So all that being said, I'm rolling with the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the San Francisco 49ers at Lincoln Financial Field and punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. I'm going Eagles 24, 49ers 21. I think it's going to be a close game all the way through, but I think Jalen Hurts will be the difference maker in this game, and I think Brock Purdy will get a little rattled in this game at some point, and I think that's when the Philadelphia Eagles defensively, they're going to get after Brock Purdy with Brandon Graham up front and Fletcher Cox and Sweat. I think they're going to get after him in this game, and I think the Eagles are going to edge out the 49ers. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H, also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports.